Hi, welcome to the Comfort Zone. I'm Sheryl Corriveau,
And I'm Paula Sullivan.
and this is our guest today.
Hi, I'm Kate Gallant.
So, what are we talking about today?
Well, we were just talking. We were just talking about the divine feminine.
Which is your work.
Yes, totally. Yeah, I'm a divine feminine coach.
So, what is a divine feminine coach?
Well, I guess the best way to explain my work is that I like to say it's like part of my job is really to give women a choice that they never knew they had. So I help women really heal their wounded energies and activate their empowered feminine energy so that they can attract what it is that they want into their lives and live a life that's in flow with their desire and, really what they want to manifest.
Nice. This is so interesting.
It is. So how'd you get started?
Oh my goodness. You want the long story? Or
Yeah. we have a little while.
Yeah, we have a little while. Okay. So, how did I get started? Well, I feel like the reason why I'm so drawn to this work is really because of just the way I grew up, right? So my parents divorced when I was very young, and as a young kid, I, really felt the trauma of that event. And what I came to find much later on in life was that I really internalized this belief that I needed to earn love and approval. So I basically spent the rest of my life trying to earn my father's love. And that brought me a ton of success in life because it's very driven and achievement oriented and just really like successful in my professional life as a student. But on the other side of that, it brought me an equal amount of pain, especially in my intimate relationships. I just kind of kept seeing these patterns play out, and I just really was heartbroken and confused as to, why that was happening. And I basically went on this journey of just really healing my own heart, and that's what inspires the work that I do today.
So what was it? What started bringing you this awareness? Was it reading? Was it teachers? Did you go to classes? Did you go to yoga? Like what started bringing out this learning and this this awareness?
That's such a good question. So I've always been kind of like an old soul.
I can see that.
Yeah. I'm sure you guys have probably heard something like that too. And just always really interested in my own spirituality, my relationship with the divine, and just generally in my relationships and in the working of my own soul and my mind. So I had an interest in those types of things. So I was just an avid reader, and I would just feel really like empowered to go and kind of search on things that were confusing to me or I didn't understand. So I would actively look for answers to the problems that I was having.
And I think that's where the same with us. We're, each of us, we're avid readers. And I know for me, I wrote the book Simply Being Happy. And it was for my own personal journey to get myself happy, to clear out these things that have been holding me back. Always been happy on the outside, but I knew I needed to work on myself. And it's been just my personal mission in life. And books are just amazing, and I know for you, you wrote, the best.
My book, The Best You, is really, it was what I learned on my journey. Again, just kind of had a lot of dysfunction growing up. I didn't know who I was. And so I took a lot of the paths that were looking for validation on the outside. Intimate relationships caused a lot of pain. And like you, I think I had to come to a place where who was I? Who was I really? And finding my true power was not on the outside. And that's when I feel like I came home. And so now, like you, I'm here to help other people kind of find their way back because there's nothing worse than feeling, lost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love that story.
So, but what about you? Like, what was like that journey like? What was the moment where you came home where you knew you were like, okay, this is the way back?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I think that there are lots of little moments. Like looking back now, it was like piece by piece. It was really like a step by step kind of process for me, and what I know now that I didn't know then was that we can only really receive what we're open to receive. So as I've gone through this journey of really healing my own wounded energies and activating more empowered energies within myself, along the way, I got exactly what I needed when I needed it. So, yeah, I can remember just like one of the things that comes to mind is when I realized that I was the one I was always looking for.
Oh,
Wow.
I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I love that.
I can remember the exact moment where that happened. It was kind of like this divine kind of insight that came to me. I was really struggling with being new in the coaching world and finding my way, and just knowing that I had so much of my own journey to offer other people. There was really just this moment where I was like, this is really, I'm the one I've been looking for. And that just like resonated and hit home. And I thought, every woman needs to know this. Like every woman needs to have this information and to know that, there is, because I think part of the wounded energy dynamic is that, we kind of have this damsel in distress thing going on just collectively as women that can feel like waiting for something outside of us to make our lives better, like your story.
Right.
Like something external.
Yes.
To feel loved and valuable.
Exactly.
So I think that, having those tools and understanding the difference between the voice of the wounded feminine and the empowered feminine, knowing that that's within you. I really feel so passionately that every woman who can actually hear that message, like that's what I want to give to her.
Because there's a lot of women stuck in that old submissive, pressed down, sort of be quiet, male dominant energy vibe.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you must see this a lot.
Totally. I was totally there. Like, totally cut off from my power, cut off from my feelings, from the depth of who I am, and really trying to navigate a man's world. So we live in a predominantly patriarchal society. Like, that's our society. It's masculine oriented and toxic masculine oriented. So for a woman, in order to really survive in this paradigm, like I think about my mother and my grandmother and what they had to sacrifice just to make it, and I think about them and I think about the sacrifices that they made and the things that that wasn't even safe for them to be open to. And now things are changing and it's really, really amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this must have to do with also healing the sexual energy.
Yes. Yeah, totally. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, because, right, femininity, I mean, it's not just that, but it's a lot of, we hold like a very creative space, and it's a very powerful space, and we've been very disconnected from that for a very long time.
I couldn't agree more. Absolutely.
I don't think everybody has, but
No, not.
but yeah,
Yeah.
there is.
Yeah.
Yes, there's still a lot. Yeah.
There's a lot to explore.
I guess I don't want to get myself in trouble here. Speak for yourself, girl.
Right. Oh, I couldn't agree more with that though. Like,
Well, no, I see it a lot in a lot of my own clients because I do
Yeah.
coaching too, and I feel
Yeah.
like just a lot of people have been disconnected and disempowered, and it's like it's
Yeah.
kind of sad,
Yeah.
and it just puts you in a box,
Yeah.
and it makes life very black and white, and I just don't feel like that's who we really are. And I think we have to own all of that. And I'm not saying
Yeah,
I'm
no.
saying it's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a very good thing.
But I have to say, I like what you're about. It's this empowerment because there. I was watching a show last year, a talk show, and somebody was on. She's mega famous. She wrote a book, and it's all about us women, how we have to lean on each other, and we have to depend on each other, and it was such. And she has so many young girls who look up to her, and I'm thinking, wow, this is not the right message to be sending. It's not about. It's one thing to be supporting each other, but leaning means you're tilting, means you're not strong in yourself, means you're weak. She was teaching weakness. She was peddling weakness. And I mean, to me, it's all about, get yourself strong.
Yeah.
You don't like the government, you don't like this, like that, but that's where it starts. And so playing this victim mentality, like let's all lean because we're victims of society. I didn't. So I love what
completely
you're
agree.
talking about.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah, totally.
No, Kate, you mentioned that you use like archetypes in
Yeah.
so can you explain that a little bit more? I think that's so interesting.
Yeah, sure. I love this. Okay, so archetypes. So my work is around the divine feminine, right? So the divine feminine, the way I like to explain it is empowered feminine energy. So there you can kind of take pieces of that, and an archetype is just basically a representation of a piece of that empowered energy. So, okay, so let me just take one for an example, right? So, like the goddess archetype. So she is, so when you activate the goddess archetype within yourself, she's the one you've always been waiting for. So what she says and what she represents is, I know who I am and I create my dreams.
Wow,
Like,
I love that.
yeah, she is powerful. She's timeless. She's wisdom embodied. She is just this grounded, peaceful energy who is certain, very certain of who she is, her personal truth. And she knows that she has the power to create her dreams. So that's like one of the archetypes that you would use. You could, another one I use is the queen archetype. So the queen is more about value. So she knows her value and her worth. And she rules her queendom from a place of fierce love, which starts from within.
that.
Yeah.
Love that.
That is cool.
Yeah, so it's really cool because it gives you a direct connect. Like when I speak those words, can you feel it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, like you can identify those pieces inside you because that energy is real within you. And I think where the disconnect is that women don't know that they can access that within themselves. They think that our worth and our value might come from something outside of ourselves, like an achievement or an approval of a man or something like that. But when you understand that these empowered archetypes exist within you, your vibration rises, you rise up into that empowered energy, and it literally starts to transform. The more you live in that space, it starts to transform your outer world to reflect that back to you.
Yeah, that's great.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, do you advise like to spend time in meditation with these archetypes? Like, how do you, so that like it's a relationship?
Yeah.
Yes.
And the beautiful thing I love this so much. The beautiful thing about it is it's a relationship with yourself.
Yes.
So, and you know, like part of the work I do is with women around creating legendary love in their lives. So welcoming in that empowered man into their lives.
Oh,
Yeah.
you need to write a book.
I know. I don't know why
Write a
you
book, I'm gonna buy it.
Yes.
I would so love to do that.
Oh,
You
yeah.
should.
I would
Yeah,
so
I'm
love
sure
to do
you
that.
will at some point.
Oh, I feel
Yeah.
that. I
Oh.
feel that right now.
Yeah.
You're gonna book in you, girl.
Oh yeah,
Thank
no
you.
doubt.
Yeah, and that, and like financial abundance, success, whatever her desire, her true desire is. So, and now I'm forgetting your question.
No,
What did you-
that's okay.
Yeah.
So it's just I was asking about how to kind of get in a relationship with these.
Right.
And so I guess what about, do you take these archetypes with a limiting belief? One of these things that are in our subconscious that are holding us back, are these archetypes that are us, but are these the ones that are going to help bring us to that other side of empowerment?
Totally. So that's such a good question. So the limiting beliefs, so the way that I like to explain that is through wounded energy. So when you understand what wounded energy feels and sounds like, you can identify it within yourself. And when you can feel and understand what empowered energy sounds like and feels like, you can activate that within yourself. So understanding the voice of the wounded and the voice of the empowered is helpful for you to live more from the empowered space. And back to what you were saying about meditation, like that's a really big part of it, because in order for you to create space for a new possibility or for your desire to come to you, you have to create space between yourself and your reality, which is most likely for the women who come to me is a reflection of their wounded energy. So for her to create that space between her current reality through practices like meditation and visualization, she creates a possibility for a new outcome to come, or her desire to come in. So spending time in the stillness and slowing down and that type of work in conjunction with the archetype work really creates that transformation within, which then gets to be reflected in your world.
Wow,
That is so powerful.
So can I ask you, when you say that you can hear that wounded person, so when someone goes to see you, do you hear it in them? Do you hear it in their voice? Do you see it? Or when they tell you their lifestyle, they're with, somebody that doesn't treat them well, or, their sex life, or these things. Do you see that, or do they see it already? How does that work? Seeing that wounded person, that wounded heart inside.
Yeah, totally. So the women that come to me, so they're empowered to a place where they're looking for tools and practices that will help them to transform what they're currently dealing with. So they know that there's something going on. There's a pattern that's repeating. They really want something and they haven't been able to call it into their life. Whether it's like abundance or a man or success in some kind of form. She has kind of been blocked off from that. So for her, the voice of the wounded feminine is universal. And everyone has their own individual life experience where it manifests how it manifests. So once you become intimate with that voice and you know what it is, that's what it allows you to, because the awareness is such a big part of transformation. And becoming aware of that voice, you then know that you have another choice, which is to activate the empowered voice.
So everybody can heal if they choose to.
Yes.
That's so...
I just got goosebumps.
I love it.
Yes,
So
everyone can heal.
Huge.
Now,
That's
do you,
huge.
when someone comes to see you, do they pick an archetype? You say, okay, do you want to pick one, or do you look at someone and say, you know what, this could be your archetype. I can tell that this is who you need to embody. How do you pick the archetype? Do they, or?
So the archetypes, there are so many archetypes. I know that there's other coaches and women out there doing this type of work, and they use particular goddesses, like goddesses from different faiths to help. You can use any goddess, any figure as an archetype.
Yeah.
But for me, what I like to do is use just the same ones. And really, it's more for the woman. Like, she'll know based on, as we go through them, she'll know where she is with that. And that's really that's her work to determine, like, and even just noticing a reaction she might have to a particular archetype. Is she resistant to it? Does it bring up fear for her, or anger, or sadness, or is she like, oh, I got that one. I'm good with that. You know, like, so it's really a nuanced kind of process where she gets to create the relationship with it. And
now, what happens if, like you just said, somebody gets triggered and they get angry, or they're not wanting to see something? What do you recommend if that's the situation?
Oh, that's a good question.
That is.
That's such a good question. Okay. What would I recommend for that? Well, so if I'm working with someone where we're in a container where we've created a relationship of trust. So I don't think I've ever had someone completely shut down in working with me. I definitely have felt from clients more resistance to one particular area of their life, but that's normally where they need to go.
Right.
So
with this resistance, and you see this is where they need to go, how do you soften the resistance, I guess?
I love how you said that.
Right?
Because it's softening.
Yes.
Yeah. So, okay. One thing I would so love to say right now is that wounded energy is not bad or wrong. It's not about pushing it away or fracturing that part of ourselves off. It's really about welcoming it in and just being present with it so that you can transform it and lift it up.
Almost like our shadow work.
Yes.
Almost like embracing it and loving it and forgiving it and saying it's okay.
So
like,
what is shadow work? Because I know I've heard of it, but I'm not familiar
well,
with
more, I just think of it as, we have the good qualities, and then we have the wounded possible qualities that will trigger and get into ego and, like, be on the attack really quick if something just rubs you the wrong way.
Yeah.
So we've got the two parts, and the shadow work, as I understand it, is just those more darker aspects of our personalities. But yet, like you said, we can't, if we push it away, it's stronger almost. And if you bring it in and look at it and say, hey, you know what, let's talk. What do you want to say? Almost like give it a voice too. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Yeah.
I kind of do something similar. And I know, like what you said, when you said, when you resist something, like they say, what you resist persists. So you just... for me, in my journey, my little self is right here. I'm hugging her and I'm giving her what she needs. If she didn't, in our, our busy life when I was a little kid, she just got lost in the shuffle sometimes. And so I'm just, I'm healing her, I'm comforting her. And I know that sounds weird to some people, but it's kind of along the same lines as what we're talking about.
Oh, totally.
Just giving ourselves what we maybe didn't get, what we got in the wrong way, and so
Because doesn't a lot of it come down to not feeling good enough, or we weren't worthy enough or deserving enough, and so we protected ourselves in these different ways, and then they turned on us, and then we were too afraid to look at it, and really, it's a part that needs to be healed, not a part to be judging or criticizing or condemning. It's a part that we need to bring it home. And is that part of the coming home and to the empowerment? Like, yeah,
totally. I'm like, I'm like, tell me more,
words.
Sheryl.
I
Yeah, totally.
well, I think owning, who we really are, it takes courage to break through to that authentic part of us because we've put so many masks on because of what we're supposed to be like and what people want us to be, to love us and to approve of us, that we've internally become the critic of ourselves.
Yeah.
We become the judge of ourselves. So now we're too afraid to show who we really are, when like the divine feminine, to me, she's embracing all of that and handling it, and like she's the queen, she's the she's like the goddess. She's not like looking away, she can look at it, she's strong enough to look at it and like say, come on home.
Yeah.
Right?
Totally. Oh,
She's good.
I love it. I love it so yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. And it's the welcoming home. I think that that's such a big part of healing, is that like all parts of you are worthy. And one of the archetypes I use is the sovereign woman. And I created her really for myself, just to remind myself of who I really am, just how you say it. And one of her paradigms is that she's guided by her personal truth. And yeah, she's really connected to who she is. And, you know, it's interesting that, it's really interesting you said something about courage there, like having the courage. And that's actually divine masculine energy. So courage, that steady, grounded energy, is what enables a woman's divine feminine to really be fully expressed. So it's really like when you get to the integration of your divine empowered energies, it is the divine feminine because we lead from that place, but the masculine has to support the feminine so that she can be fully expressed.
So
yeah.
Wow.
I love that so much.
Can you, so we just have a minute or so, can you
Sure.
tell us, Kate, how someone can find you, where you're located? And
Yeah, totally. So I am on Facebook and Instagram at Kate Gallant Coaching. And you can check out my website. It's kategallantcoaching.com. There's places there where you can get in touch with me and see my current offerings. There's going to be some new stuff coming out this spring. So I'm really excited about that.
So exciting, Kate.
Yeah.
You're going to do so well because you're so, like, your heart's so into this
Oh,
work.
Oh, thank you.
And this was, we could just keep talking.
And I think every woman could use it.
Yeah,
Oh, God, yeah.
totally.
We can all
I
use
feel that
it.
too.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is so
really
fun.
good stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I feel so honored to just be here with you guys.
Thank you.
So great.
So thanks, guys. Thanks for
Yes.
watching another episode of The Comfort Zone, where we're getting out of our comfort zone, and we hope that you will too.
Yes. Thank you. Bye for now.
Bye.